Hello and welcome back to Everybody Loves Raiken, our 5th edition live play that meets every Tuesday night. Last time we met, the party got to tour the mansion Boar Hunter Lodge, which has been gifted to formerly Lady Draknir, now going by Lady Kaylock, as her daughter has married Prince Garant Belgrin. And they have consolidated their life here in the city of Everwatch. The party, some engaged in exploring their surroundings, while others, who will remain nameless, engaged in drinking themselves into oblivion, helped along by still others in the party. And so, with those party members obliviated, and occupying beds on the 3rd floor, we come back to the party here as they await the arrival of the newlyweds. We spent a good deal of time last session with Vendar, as he spoke with his mother and his recently relocated brother, dealing with the things that have transpired in his family during his absence among the party. Those are his stories to share, and we'll see if he does so, as Lady Kaylock has invited you to continue enjoying the hospitality of the house, but to make sure that you clean up after yourselves and leave as little work for the servants as possible, please. I do believe that is about where we left off, as Yukikaze was grabbing some more food. We've got Vendar, Laramendis, Jebel, and Cyrus in here with Lady Kaylock, and Leah went somewhere. I thought she was in here, but maybe
Leah had gone up to the bedroom.
That is possible. Shall I start with you, Leah?
I went to bed. So
You went to bed. Okay, well, we started with you and we're done. Cool.
Roll for dream.
That is an actual spell I have, though, so I'm not sure if I want to roll that right now.
Send dreams to somebody. Okay. Then... down here, Lady Kaylock has made her wishes known, and she is now awaiting the arrival of her daughter this evening. So is there any further things that you wanted to say to each other, to her, ask each other or her, prior to me getting into that next of events? You gathered few.
What was the last thing that was talked about? I don't think that I had anything more that I was trying to remember, but I'm trying was the last thing there had been her comment about like her offer about like being welcome kind of thing. I think that was the last thing.
She had thanked you for protecting her son these months that he's been away, and said that you would be able to use the rooms here as long as you had business in town. And then she had warned Vendar that anything else he might wish to accomplish would likely hinge upon talking to his sister.
So I think Laramendis is going to go about and finish the task of cleaning up with magic. Because I don't remember if I don't think that had technically happened yet, because they had been transporting Dragonborn and then the conversation. So he will, make sure that's all set.
Right.
I don't imagine it will take long, but...
So you excuse yourself and shuffle off a few feet to begin cleaning up the floor and walls and counters and such with magic. Cyrus, Jebel, Yukikaze, a lot of things have happened in your absence, as Vendar was away from the party. for most of your time here. If you have any prying questions, I suppose now is the time.
So, how are things, Vendar?
A lot's happened. I have some things I need to take care of in the city before I can go.
Like what?
My brother is sick, and I need to try to help him. I have some things I need to take care of with my sister. And I need to try to find my older brother, my oldest brother.
Like,
He was captured during the brief war with Bromdor. I assume he would have been released when we did the armistice, but he's still missing. I need to try to figure out what happened to him.
I see. And
Bro.
you said your brother's sick? Is that something Raiken could fix in the morning, or is it something else?
I very much doubt it will be that easy. I suppose you could try, but no, there's some people I need to talk to see if I can get more information about what exactly is wrong.
All right. Do you have an idea how long these things might take? As we
I'm not sure. I'll try to go out tonight to find some people to talk to after I speak with my sister.
Don't forget that we do have some magical means of gaining answers to questions that we can be pointed about, and now that we have the residuum, Barmetis looks very excited, I can enchant the spyglass, which means we can give my little spell a try if we can get to a location and know a time that we want to gain some more insight on.
Also, is it very loud right now?
Is what very loud?
It's quiet in here, so I can hear everything, like even
Oh,
from small
definitely.
distance.
You are the only ones in here, and no one is being loud.
Okay.
This is the only conversation taking place.
So, as I'm nibbling, I'm like, so Vendar, you say you got stuff to take care of. Are you gonna, like, ask us to help you out? Would you
help would be
like help?
appreciated. I don't know how much he'll be able to help, and there's some things that I'll have to do alone.
It's understandable.
But yes, any help would be appreciated. Using the what's it called, the spell to talk to the god and ask questions or whatever could be helpful. And it sounds like your spell, if I recall what you said it does correctly, that might be helpful.
Yes, we can go to a location and specify a time and both see and interact with what was going on there at that time.
Interact with? How?
By talking to the people there.
But does it actually change the events there?
No. It's purely a means of divination.
I see. Well, there goes that idea.
Well, it's still useful. We could go to the battlefield where my brother was taken and use it to try to determine what happened to him.
Would it be a smart idea to just have one or two of us stick with Vendar and the rest just kind of chill on standby and come get us if you need us? Or also, Larmedis, you can do your little mind comboing of everyone to talk with each other too from long distances.
That does only last an hour.
Oh.
And when it gets cast, everyone must be close to me.
Yeah. And unless you have a particular reason to stay behind, I feel like we
No.
should stick together, because
Wow.
making your way back here afterwards is just a waste of time when we need to find out what happened to his brother, and I would like to re-stress trying to get Rowan out of whatever plane of hell he's on.
Yes, we do still need to do that.
You should probably check to make sure he's still alive. It's been like a week of him burning there.
If that's the only thing that's happening.
Well,
Yeah,
it could
for all
have
we
been a
know,
week, it could have been
time
years. We don't
passes
know. Maybe it's
faster
like the
than-
Feywild. Maybe it flows differently.
Maybe we'll be lucky and it's only been like an hour, but seems unlikely.
We would need to figure out a way to get to
Right.
hell.
Oh, we have
instead of
that.
Figuring out.
Is the way to hell jumping through the hole in the Underdark?
Yep.
I
I can
mean,
get us there.
possibly. I don't think we ever
even
had
know if
confirmation.
That's right. That's at least a legend. They said that that's it.
Although we can certainly use the question in
Commune.
commune. I was trying to remember if it was commune or divination.
Nation's one question. Commune's three yes or no's.
Okay, yeah.
Now, how often
With
can we
commune
use
to figure that
commune?
out. Commune is once a day. After that, it becomes less reliable.
And are you the only one that can cast it?
I suppose that we could seek out powerful clerics. And see if they can spare the use with the donation to the church. We do also have access to Contact Other Plane, which can be used however many times we want, as long as I can maintain my sanity.
And what do you mean by it becomes less reliable?
Doesn't it become... I thought... if you cast the spell 2 or more times before finishing your next long rest, there's a cumulative 25% chance for each casting after the first that you get no answer. So it is less reliable of a source of information, since you don't always get an answer.
At least any information we get is still accurate.
It is true. So we can continue making attempts and just see when it fails.
I'm sure there are some powerful clerics of color here. This is the capital.
I mean, the temple was what, across the street?
I think it's a little bit down the road.
Close.
I'm fairly certain the white building across from us is the temple. Am I wrong on that, Tristan?
You are not wrong.
Oh,
It is
okay.
literally on the other side of the... There's basically the setup here, physically, is Everwatch as a city is set on a big mountainous island in the middle of this river. And the very top of this hill, mountain, very tall peak, is what they've been calling the Brilliant Plaza, which consists of 3 buildings. The Royal Tower, the Palace Tower, which is where Everwatch gets its name, the mansion that you are in, Boarhunter Lodge, and the Temple of Pelor. These are the only 3 buildings on the highest part of this island. They all share the square, the plaza here together, which is this wide stone plaza.
Cool. Then yes. So I suppose once it is morning, it will be reasonable to go and speak with the cleric and see if we can utilize their services.
Rowan would be a priority. So I don't know if things need to be done here first, but probably not all.
Try to do what I need as fast as I can, but my brother is in desperate need of help, and I need to find out what happened to my eldest brother.
All right.
Done enough damage to my family. I need to help them where I can.
Did Lurman say he had this spell finished, like ready to go?
Was soon, he had heavily implied it. I don't think he said those words, but
Does still at least need to cast it. He needs my spyglass.
You can ask him if you want him to clarify.
Me or
Yeah, in Jebel, I mean.
Yeah, I'll turn to Lurman and say that spell, the viewing the past one. That's have you completed it?
I mean, I haven't cast it yet because I don't have the focus, but I think I have everything in place for me to be able to do so.
And we have to be physically at the place that we want to view?
Yes.
Interesting. So then what happened that one night?
It
UI.
it was a bit unpredictable, and in making it predictable, it limited things a bit more.
I see.
It is important when casting magic that it is predictable and repeatable.
I'll second that statement. So how
Well,
far
needs
away
your
is this
help.
place?
With the battlefield, not far. It was in northern Aspara, right?
It was between this city and the next city over, Elazon. Very
Yeah,
likely it
outside.
was just the field south of this city.
It's just outside of town.
But there is a person you could get that more exact information from, were you to find them.
And
I will need your help in particular tomorrow. Was Jebel with us when we found the kid? Or
No,
just
No.
Rowan was.
No, Jebel had not joined the party when you met that kid.
Alright.
Which kid is this?
The one who got his leg eaten by the griffin.
asking after that at the temple is not unreasonable, since that's where we sent. Laramendus inserts name of the mercenary group.
The Sons of the Imminent Dawn.
Those are the fuckers.
Well, I asked my mother about it, and she tells me that they're working at the palace. Apparently, the sister has demanded that he not accept help, so he's still missing his leg. But I feel we owe it to him to give him back his leg, since we have the capability. So,
Does simplify things, actually knowing exactly where the child is.
so yes, tomorrow, provided I don't screw things up with my sister, I hope to bring Jebel to the palace, and that we can cast restoration on his leg so that he can get his leg back. So if you would please come with me tomorrow, Jebel.
Wait, so he lost his leg and someone told him not to get it back?
His sister is a very proud sort, and demands that they work for everything they get, and has apparently told him to not accept the cleric's casting of the spell. So I'll have to convince her, but I think I can do that.
Yeah, probably. That's kind of stupid.
Yeah, I don't really know all they had gone through beforehand, and I know that that was a very traumatic experience. Most everyone they knew had been killed in the attack.
I mean, if you're going to be proud for yourself. Don't be proud for someone else.
Yeah, she may have, it may have been more she convinced him to be proud too and not accept it. But, for whatever reason, he's still missing his leg, and I think he deserves to have it back. If I'd only been a little bit faster, I could have saved it in the first place.
We'll get it sorted.
Forgive me for speaking, but I'm gonna go outside, get some fresh air, and nibble on some food. A lot of this should also be discussed with everyone as a group, so I'll talk more with everyone in the morning.
All right.
Good night, guys, and I will see you in the morning.
As you exit the room, you find Lady Kaylock standing before the door, hands folded in front of her, waiting. You can see that she is performing some sort of breathing exercise.
Okay, since that is happening, I'll let those guys continue their conversation and address this after that's pretty much resolved.
You guys had more to say to one another?
I can't think of anything.
It's fine. You don't have to. If you're done talking, that's fine.
I have one more thing to say. I just want to make sure. But I've been changing the topic, so I want to make sure nobody else has something that they want to put out there.
I think go ahead.
All right. Arminis, what do you want to do about separating the residuum?
I can go upstairs now, and I will at this point recast Unseen Servant and have it split things up.
All right. And equal amounts for everyone in the party for each spellcaster. What's the goal here?
You bought 6 pouches?
I bought 5.
5. Then that seems reasonable for equal to all the spellcasters. I might set some aside to send to Nalia of my own bit.
So, how do you think things will be with the rest of your family, Vendar?
It's complicated with my sister. We were always close, but she's the head of the family, and she's... After everything that I did and everything that's happened, I hear she's pretty cross with me. So,
Yeah. I figured that was a bit explained with the news we received back in Tuca.
if all goes well, she will accept me and be willing to help. At least I don't. I think it might be a little bit much to hope for being accepted back into the family, but hopefully she at least won't prevent me from from going to the tower, or stop me from trying to help.
I guess we'll see.
I'm anxious for a meeting.
Okay. If there is nothing further, then Alakai, you wish to speak with Lady Kaylock as she waited before the door.
Is everything alright, milady?
She, finishes exhaling her latest breath and opens her eyes before turning her head towards you, slightly twisting her upper body, maintaining this rigid, almost regal posture. Says, I think it will be soon. Did you enjoy the refreshments my household offered you?
Yes, very much so. I was just about to head out and see if there was a bench to sit on and enjoy the stars and finish nibbling on what I have, and then bring back my dishes afterwards.
You will find many pleasant places to sit around the brilliant plaza, but if you head out now, you will miss my daughter and her new husband.
Will they only be here for a short while, or?
They are only visiting for the evening. They have many duties to take up tomorrow.
How long before they're here?
I do not know. I imagine it will be very soon.
Is there a nice spot where I can enjoy and just see them come and then come back in when I see them?
I am certain you would witness their approach from anywhere in the plaza. There are but the 3 buildings, and by this time most of the people have gone home.
Then I will bring myself back in once they arrive.
Very well. Far be it from me to command you. I only open my household to you.
Oh no, it was a nice suggestion. I just I'm getting a little stuffy inside and just want to be outdoors for the time. I'm from a nomadic tribe, so being outdoors is more comfortable for me.
She, still with her body only partially turned towards you, nods her head in what appears to be understanding. Says, I've known some dragonborn from Arcosia. They certainly had a different way of carrying themselves.
Yes, I am actually from Toralos myself, not from Arcosia.
I suspected that was the case when you said tribe.
Yes.
In any event, I do expect that they will be here soon, so if you want your fresh air, you would best do it.
I will. Thank you. I will see you ere long. And I will mosey up.
You pull the door open, and find that there is a young couple reaching for the handle at that moment.
Oh. Hello, you must be... And I will say the names correctly.
Lilith Drakner and Garant Belgren.
You're, Stop clicking things, Gabe.
Well, you've got a torch now.
Yeah, I know. I am failing miserably. Stop! Menu, go away. Alright, we're good. I
love this program.
I will move back and I will step out of the way and say,
You see them like retract their hand suddenly as the doors part around you. You say this, and they look a little bewildered. But both of them kind of look to one another before nodding.
I will gently, as I step back, I won't turn away from them. I'll just be stepping back, and I will see the bewilderment and said, forgive me. My name is Yuki Kaze, one of the travelers that have been accompanying Vendar on our many adventures.
They again smile and bow their heads momentarily. Lilith will step in and embrace her mother. Garant will actually step up to you and say, Yuki Kaze, it is a pleasure to meet you. I had heard only snippets about you since when I met your group the first time in town. You weren't among their number, I believe. He extends a hand in greeting.
Thankfully, my phone has Discord.
Oh dear, we lost you momentarily.
Yeah. So, as I was saying,
I was stepping backwards.
Yes. You step backward, and they acknowledge your greeting, but Lilith steps up to embrace her mother.
Okay, and as I was, when you said bewildered, I said, as I saw their bewilderment, I said, forgive me. I don't know if that part came through.
You did. You're fine.
Okay, so I don't need to repeat myself.
Garand had stepped up to you and extended a hand, saying that he had heard little of you as you weren't part of the group when last he had met them.
That's the part I didn't get.
Yes.
Okay, so I will reach out and shake his hand.
I trust you're taking care of my bride's troublesome brother.
We have all, as a group, taken care of each other equally. It's been quite a journey.
Well, let us not stand in the way of wherever it is you were off to.
Oh, no, I was only going out for some air. I'm more than happy to join you guys back in to meet some of the other group and Lilith's brother.
Indeed. So, we are to find Vendar within?
Yes.
Good. Excellent. Then, if you are staying, please lead the way.
And I will lead the way.
As you turn to lead the way, he is going to step over to Lady Kaylock and address her as mother and embrace her as well. She says some quiet words with them, and then they follow you.
Yeah. And I'll walk in and I'll say, Vendar! Lady... I don't know their last names. Are they still...
They both kind of, like, crack a smile as you attempt to announce them.
Oh, okay. Well,
and
it's
she...
Draknir, right?
She dips her head and says, It's Belgrin now. I am the Lady of House Draknir. But in public affairs, I will use the family name of the leaders of the city.
Okay.
They,
I will nod.
They do seem appreciative and even amused by you. Lady Kaylock follows along behind. You can see that she's, she has a look of concern on her face, and, biting one of her fingers. Garant approaches you first, Vendar, and sort of almost standoffishly, even, especially in his very nice attire. You're back in your armor and weapons. He looks you up and down, says, "Well, it doesn't look like you've lost anything since last we met."
Nothing in particular. It's good to see you again. The wedding was beautiful.
I am happy to know you were in attendance. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Watch.
I promised I'd be there, and I'm glad I was able to keep it. Even under our current circumstances.
Well, your promise was Lilith. I merely wanted a chance to say hello before your... however it is this goes.
Out of character, the doors ominously close.
And he does extend you a hand and a smile that seems almost genuine.
I will shake his hand.
And he will...
Smile back.
He steps back next to Lady Kaylock and says, "Perhaps I will be able to call you brother by the end of this."
I certainly hope so.
Lilith turns back toward Yukikaze a moment and says, "Thank you for announcing us. It was very gallant. If you would, I need a little space with my brother."
You would like us to completely leave the room? Because that's fine.
She just sort of looks down at the very small air gap between you.
Oh, yeah, because that's what I was, so it's like, rotate screen. There we go. I can grab myself. Sorry. Yeah, I am a little close. Sorry about that.
She smiles as you move back, and then turns to...
She didn't say anything about privacy, so I'm just gonna, like, plop down on the seat.
She said nothing about privacy. She asked only for space.
Alright. So I'm gonna sit down and nibble on my little snacks.
You do see the smile fading from her face as she turns back towards you, Vendar, and she takes on a very flat expression, like forcing the emotion out of her face to look upon you. She says, "Vendar, when last we spoke in person, you made it clear that these people were very important to your goals. So I imagine that it will not be a problem for you if they are present for our talk. Therefore, they too can understand the circumstances under which you will operate."
Yes, that is fine.
I respect that you have come to fulfill the promise you made me. I admit I am surprised that you've chosen to do so, given the events intervening now and then. Have you anything further to say for yourself about that day?
I very much messed up. I should have been there. I shouldn't have let them do what they did. It should have been me who took care of Father. And I should have talked to you beforehand.
She looks a little dismayed at the floor. Says, "When I helped you leave, before, when you went to Ebengard. I knew that there was trouble between you and Father. I did not know the extent of it because you did not reveal it to me. And then Father was taken from me. By that time, I was a little bit more aware of the types of business he was getting into. Mostly because I was being trained in it. And then you arrive and admitted your part in his demise. And I understand that you had been gravely hurt by him and his tutelage. I accept that he was not one best fit to run our house. I can even forgive your lapse in judgment in how it all played out. I understand that you set things in motion, hoping to fix that which you knew was broken better than any of us. Vendar, what I have difficulty accepting, what I cannot reconcile, is that when you appeared, when you told me of your guilt in these events, and I begged you to stay and help us rebuild, you refused. You left me and our mother to figure this out in a pool of our father's blood, telling me that there was some dragon that needed hunting. Did you kill it?
No, not
Have
yet.
you anything to show? By the time you increased our suffering knowingly?
I'm sorry. Honestly, I felt my presence would only make things worse.
Even when we told you? When I told you how much we needed you? We could have...
But you didn't. As much as you think you might, you're better off with me away. You are the leader of this family for good reason. You were the best of us. You always will be. I can't corrupt you the way Father corrupted me. Won't let that happen.
You can see that she is clutching at a fold of fabric of her dress against her leg, and that she is looking away from you up toward the ceiling. You can see a rim of tears in her eyes. Of all of us, you and I always got on the best, Vendar. You were my favorite brother, and I looked up to you so dearly. I believe that if you had stayed when I asked, we could have worked through everything. As I said, I know now many of the crimes our father was guilty of. I know now many of the things he made you do. But I don't know them from your lips. I had to find out other ways. And I resent you for that. I never wanted to exile you, brother. But you chose to walk away when we needed you, and I want to forgive you. I wrote truth in that letter. But you have given me so little to go on to that end. On what can I base our relationship now?
There is much I regret in this world. I have done so much harm. Worst of all to you. I will do anything to try to make up for that. Try to fix what I have broken. I desperately wish to help this family. To help you, my brothers. I just don't know how. I have one skill, and it's not one that I wish to expose you to.
Mother made you a weapon, and you believe you cannot reforge yourself?
I'm trying. I feel I have gotten much better since I originally left. But I also feel there's still a long way for me to go.
I have heard no stories of you resuming use of the Draknir name outside of when people identify you. You have not reforged your signet?
No, I promised I wouldn't.
You see her expression soften a little. She nods. I imagine that this decree has made life difficult for you and your... And she kind of sways back a little, tilting her head from one side to the other. Not that she's directly finding them with her eyes, but the gesture that she knows they're there. Friends.
It has led to some complications, but they are the consequences of my own actions.
You have met with Vicaris?
Yes. The number father could almost be said that he's worse off than I was. I'm going to try to help him.
It is an ongoing struggle within the household and for the image of the family and I am grateful for the continued efforts of Dr. Neeland. Do you believe that you can find a way to help Vicaris?
There are some things I would like to try. I know during my apprenticeship, during my time as father's assassin, and my apprenticeship under the assassin Kyler, I I know a lot about the city and its underground. I know a lot about this country and its underground. I know a lot of the contacts that Kyler had, a lot of the contacts that father may likely have used. If I can find who was making the substance for him, then I could perhaps find a way to help clear Vicaris's mind to bring him back to us.
She licks her lip in thought as she tries to form words and says, I want my brother back. I would like to be able to invite you back, family. Vendar, if I were to give you this task of helping our brother for the good of the family, do you think that is something you could prioritize for me? For the good times we once shared as children?
Absolutely. I do not plan on leaving the city until I find some way to help him.
She's staring into your eyes, like trying to read the truth behind them. You can tell that she is working hard to maintain her composure and is glaring at you through tears. But she does as she can to get a hold of her. To get a hold of her breathing, and says, and by my role as the leader of the Draknir family, command that you find a way to relieve our brother Vicaris of his symptoms by any means necessary. And should you prove successful, I will restore your name.
I appreciate that, but I would help him either way. I've done enough damage to this family. I love you all. I very much wish to help and will do anything I can.
She takes one ragged breath and nods, saying, You will either prove or disprove those words, Vendar, by your actions. Now then, I would share one drink, as is the custom of the Draknir family when a deal is made. Apparently, this sorcerer attacks the druid.
You did what?
Dribble just looks over to Cyrus with hate in his eyes.
She moves over to the bar, stepping up to you, Laramendus, and looking expectantly at you.
What's the selection like? Is there like a clear thing that I can like serve to her, or is it like there's options that I should present?
She looks like she's trying to get by you.
Oh, okay. I step out of the way. Yeah, I can actually do that, can't I? Because I control my character in this map.
She steps behind the bar momentarily. You hear clinking of bottles and glasses. And you continue to hear her breath coming ragged as she sets out 2 glasses and quickly pours something deep pink into them, perhaps a rosé, and then swiftly comes back around the bar and hands the drink across to Vendar.
I accept it.
She clears her throat and says, "By this drink, I hope that I shall soon be able to call you brother once again." And she holds the glass out.
Am I supposed to toast it? I will if I am.
Yes, she is holding it
Okay,
out
I
as though to
toast
toast it.
I toast it.
And she drinks.
I drink as well.
She nods to you as she finishes before you, drinking it down fast. She goes to your mother, embraces her once more, handing off the glass, and promises to see her again soon. Before sweeping past Garant and out the door. Garant looks around the room once more and says, "Well, forgive our brusqueness, but thank you for a lovely evening, all of you." Vendar,
Yes, it was good to see you.
best of luck. I would hate for you to disappoint my wife.
Don't plan on it.
He holds hard eye contact with you for a moment before nodding sharply and stepping back out of the room. You hear some muffled talking, and then the front door opens and closes. I imagine a collective breath is released within this room from those who are forced to witness it. I feel like Laramendus going behind the bar is very telling.
Now I need that drink.
I'm gonna head towards the bar.
Your mother approaches you, Vendar. And she pulls you into an embrace.
Oh, I go back.
Says, as she releases you, "I don't know if that could have gone better, but I'm glad it didn't go worse."
Yes, me as well.
I
Certainly have a
will.
lot to make up for.
I think that you should be safe to go and request your audience with the children on the morrow?
It is good.
She runs a hand down her own throat and says, I think I'm going to retire for the evening.
Of course.
And sweeping an eye around the room, she just says, try not to make too big a mess.
I love you, Mother. Sleep well.
She smiles, reaching out her dry hand and running it down the side of your face. She nods and says, I love you too, son. I'm glad you're here. I hope that we can move past all of this soon.
So do I.
And she 100% teleports away. No, I'm kidding. Alright. So once again have this room. You wish to speak to one another, or...
Something small. Looks around the bar.
There's a wide variety of things back here. You feel that if you were knowledgeable in mixing drinks, you could make just about anything.
Got a fireball?
Uh,
Because clearly it has to be Cyrus's favorite.
fresh out. You see that there is a bottle. It says very clearly.
Oh.
Larminus looked at it very directly before saying that.
Oh.
What do you have?
Guys, don't make too big a mess. I have some things I need to take care of.
Alright. Got any water?
Wait, before
I
you
will.
leave, could you at least tell me where your spyglass is so that I might enchant it tonight?
Right. I'll pull it out of my bag of holding and hand it to him.
Thank you.
You wouldn't happen to have a key to this place, would you?
Why do you need a key?
Cause I have some things I'd like to do tonight, and I want to make sure I don't get locked out.
You definitely
That's
do not have a key, Vendar.
That's very, very mysterious.
No, I don't have a key. Hopefully there'll be a servant around to let you in. Otherwise, fly up to the balcony. Anyway, I have to go. I'll see you guys in the morning.
Good night.
Good night.
Alright, you all. Blair, did you go back there so you could make yourself a drink?
Yes. I had been muted when I said I was doing that, but
Okay.
so yeah, Laramentus has a drink, and then if Jebel wants something, he will get it for him.
So
I was going to ask for cider.
you guys,
If there is cider, he gets it. Gets a glass for Jebel.
Yukaz is gonna come over and go, Lermendus. About
Yes.
what time is it?
I say the time,
It's like 10 p.m. 10:30 maybe.
like 10 p.m.
I think I got a good solid hour of staying up. Give me a nice strong drink.
Nice strong drink. Okay. Larmendus looks around, makes a judgment, and then pours something extremely strong.
you do so. You hand it across to the Dragonborn.
Alright, and then I'm gonna just say I'll see you guys and I think a good way to say it, see you on the morrow.
Yeah. Are you taking that drink with you up to the room?
No, I'm gonna do what I originally wanted to do, and
Oh, you're gonna sit out in the nice air and
yeah,
and
enjoy the
drink
starry
it.
sky.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I will give a last couple moments here to Cyrus, Jebel, and Laramendus. Any last things you want? I believe I've got to help Vendar commit crimes.
Oh,
I
he doesn't
have
need help.
Since you PM Tristan.
Oh, okay, yeah. Good thing you told me.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to ask. So, are we doing that thing with the spell tomorrow? Or is there something else that we need to do first?
I don't know. I am going to go and commit some magic so that I could cast my spell tomorrow.
Oh, and we need to check on that one-legged boy that you met.
Yes, so I believe that you should have regeneration prepared tomorrow in case the discussion goes
Way ahead of you.
favorably.
That one's always prepared.
That is useful.
I can use it now. Here, cut one of your fingers off.
I would rather not.
Is regeneration free to cast?
No, I have a spell slot.
No, I meant
it has no
material component.
no cost. Yeah, it's just a very high level spell.
That's amazing. It's 7,
Yeah.
right? 7, 8? 7?
7, I think.
7.
It also just takes a long time for it to fully take effect, so that's another one of the reasons for it.
Gotcha.
Well, baby feet.
Oh gosh, no, none of that.
Jesus. It's just straight shirt cocking it.
Jesus.
Well, since they appear to be out of Fireball, Cyrus is going
Fresh
to
out.
take water and flavor it like Fireball. Because prestidigitation's a thing.
Prestidigitation is a thing.
It's a wonderful thing.
So just real quick to end my whole segment, I will stay outside just and enjoy the starry sky, just drink, contemplate stuff for about an hour, then head and put my dishes down and go to bed.
Okay.
Laramendus is going to go upstairs and first cast Unseen Servant to begin doing the splitting. He will take. He'll pour a. He'll take like a little bit of it, like out first, so that he can cast with that to the. Actually, it's gonna take a while for the thing to split it up. I'm trying to think because he needs it to
Divide it equally, grain by grain.
I was saying he needs it to enchant the thing.
Yeah.
So just trying to figure out because I figured that it's best to do it from
Your own supply.
his thing.
As opposed to doing the enchantment and then splitting it up, taking it from
I
everybody.
mean, to be fair, he did basically get nothing from Nalia last time we got the enchantments. So
Well, I believe somebody was out of attune slots, but you know.
oh yeah, no,
What
like
do I know?
there were multiple reasons for it.
Okay.
And
But
that
yeah,
he wouldn't have.
So he'll like
You have your
Or a
unseen
bit
servant
into-
divvy it up, and then you cast
Yeah.
the spell on the.
yeah.
Okay. You go through the spell as was drilled with you by Naravar, and again with Nalia a little bit, taking this very high-end spyglass and imbuing it with magic. It actually you could You could customize its look a little bit, since you're going to be infusing it with magic and making it special. Are there any affectations you particularly want?
Spikes.
I think it has to have gears on it, like a clock.
Okay.
Subtle, like I think it has like a subtle etching
Etching.
of gears.
Yeah,
in it.
okay. There's sort of a complex machine almost etched into the side of it in brass.
And when the light strikes it right, it appears that it's moving. Never does, but like one thinks if
You
one
could swear you can
thinks
see
that,
the
yeah,
cogs turning against one another.
it's just a little unsettling.
Perfect. Perfect. It is otherwise exactly as it was given to you.
Yep.
Okay. Jibble, last call.
I think I'm just nursing this cider, so I'm not
Okay.
going to get another one.
No problem. You may sit by the fire, anything you like. It seems like other people are trickling out of the room. I imagine you will be the... I imagine that Laramendus has done this up in his room after getting his drink, yes?
Yeah. After getting the drink and passing out the cider and the water.
Yeah.
When Larameda says, "I'm going to go commit some magic,"
Yeah.
is basically when he goes and. Why can I not go just like teleport myself up accidentally when I want it to happen?
Remember that you can hold
No,
left...
I'm just nowhere now. I think. Where?
Did you lose you?
I did. I'm gone.
Amazing.
Am I
Yeah,
on the
on the
roof?
No, you're back.
I'm back?
You're in the... I'll put you back in the barroom.
Okay.
Just use left shift.
I don't...
I like to think like he lagged. He walked up the stairs and then suddenly he lagged back into the room. He's like, wait a minute.
I used to be a wild magic sorcerer for that. Or if somebody-
okay, I see how it is.
Up.
Or have somebody cast blink.
Alright.
Oh, you did it for me?
Yes. I think blink in this just makes you phase in and out of the border ethereal at the end of each of your turns.
If you roll
possibly
an
at the
11.
end of each of your turns, but you teleport 10 feet
Oh, okay.
when you come back. So you can make it look like you walked to the steps, blinked out of existence, and then teleported back to where you started.
Alright. So I'm going to follow Vendar, as he has stuff he wants to do. Alright, Vendar. You abandon the house. These two have gone back to the palace. Zoop. You are in the brilliant plaza. It is far after the sun has set. And you know that people within the whole city are on their ways to bed, if they're not already there. Before you stands the monolith that is the Temple of Pelor, the sun god. What is it that you would like to do?
I'm going to go look for old contacts.
Look
Which I
for
imagine-
old contacts.
Particularly alchemists.
Well,
How
are you looking
unusually
for...
out of character?
What?
I heard out of character, Jebel. What?
I said, how unusually out of character. Be looking for an alchemist, of all things.
You are looking for an alchemist specifically right now?
I'm looking for any alchemist that might have had done work for my father.
Well, that certainly is anyone. Anyone might have done work for your father.
Particularly ones that I knew used to work with Kyler and do things. Beatty for my father.
Alright. Why don't you roll me a history check?
26.
Okay. Alrighty. Oopsie. Okay. You do remember the name of one very talented, very shady alchemist within this city, a halfling by the name of Alden Cartwright.
I will seek out Eldon Cartwright then.
You know that he has a legitimate place of business where he does his alchemy, but you know that the Thieves Guild and Assassins Guild would both tap him for under-the-counter deals on medicines and poisons alike. You know that he was one of the people who helped train you in your poisoning back when you were working for your father. You know that he lives down closer to the docks here in Everwatch, but you can make your way there. It's maybe a half-hour walk.
I will make my way there.
It is about 11 p.m. when you get down to the docks area. You had to make your way all the way down the hills, the winding streets, the sometimes tilted buildings, until you find, kind of perched among taverns, bars, brothels, the medicine shop of the one Alden Cartwright. You see that there is still a lamp lit and hanging from the awning over the door, indicating that he should still be taking customers.
I will enter.
A small bell dings as you push the door open, and within you see that the walls around you are covered in wooden racks, from which hang a plethora even of spices. Small tables and benches are laid out with such dried plant matter as might be used in such concoctions as you are used to making. There are a number of mortars and pestles and alembics here for sale. And in the middle of it all, toward the back of the room, you can see in front of a purple crushed velvet screen, behind a very low counter, is the halfling, Alden Cartwright, looking somewhat older than you remember him. As he says, "Yes, what can I help you with today? Any medicines you're in need of? I suspect you're here for something special. I have a feeling."
Been a long time, Alden. I walk up to the counter.
He he looks over at you and watches you approach, from the shadows of the front of the room. You see him reach for his chest, where he pulls up a pair of spectacles on a chain and places them over his eyes, and he squints at you through them, his eyes magnified to you by the lenses. He says, "Boy, I did not expect this reunion." He looks around. "The blade of the Draknir. Well, are you here to put me out of business?"
I'm here for information.
"And then to put me out of business."
Not if the information's helpful.
Alright, he, sets a few more alchemical ingredients, reagents, onto their proper shelves, and then claps his hands together. You can see, the powdered dust of these dried herbs exploding into the air in the candlelight around him. And he, kind of grabs a stool with his foot, hooking his foot around its leg, and sits down upon it, looking up at you. Says, "Well then, ask your questions."
Come to my attention that my father was giving my brother, Vicaris, a specific concoction. I need to find out exactly what this concoction is.
Any ideas what was a component of it?
Well, I was rather hoping you were the one who was making it for him. But if not...
You actually see the magnified eyes get a little bigger behind the lenses as his eyebrows go up. I haven't had those kinds of dealings with your father in some years, not really since your training ended. He did not think that I was worth the money.
I'm sure then you must know other alchemists that he might have contracted for such work.
It's possible that I do. I don't know every alchemist in the world simply because we share a hobby, but I do know that there are some in places that have accepted your father's money. Now, again, do you know what this concoction did? Perhaps I know who might have made such a thing.
I know it was highly addictive.
Hmm.
It made him stronger and more aggressive.
Unfortunately, that could be a lot of things. Anything else?
It has left him barely able to live in reality.
Elaborate on that. That sounds useful.
He seems to forget things that just happened and not understand the passing of time very well. He's very irritable, and pretty much anything can set him off. He can't deal with crowds well.
This paints a much better picture. Side effects match a number of psychotropics that I'm familiar with, but no one caused all of them. You believe that your father was only giving him a single drug?
I'm not entirely sure. He called it his, what did he call it?
Father's juice.
He called it Father's Juice. I believe it's some sort of concoction made from any number of things.
It does help to know that he calls it juice. Many of the psychotropics that I know of are only potent in their powdered forms. Inhaled, drinking them wouldn't give someone as powerful a high. There isn't anyone else in the city he would have contracted with that I wouldn't have known about. But I did know that he sometimes received shipments from Evangard. Of course, this wouldn't seem out of the ordinary. He was a merchant. He dealt in shipping things to and from other places. But most of his business is in lumber. And I had seen these crates, and they had a mark of the Alchemist Guild upon them. So maybe that's where you'll find what you're looking for. And I know that's a long way off, and that's all you've got from me is my word, but I really don't have anything further. You might have noticed that it was rather dangerous to do business with your father for extended periods of time.
Yes.
So I did not cherish my time doing it, and I got out as quickly as I could. I'm only glad he never came back to find me before he offed himself.
Do you know of anything that might be able to help my brother?
I have a couple things that I could put together that might alleviate some of the symptoms. But without knowing what he was given, it's very difficult for me to create exactly what you're looking for.
What are these components you think he might have been given?
He lists off a couple of things, sort of, haphazardly, just ticking off fingers, mostly street names of narcotics. And then, just a quick little aside about, the primary herb or plant that is being used in its creation.
I will write all this down.
Okay. As I can sell you any of these bits you need. I've been doing good business with your old Assassin's Guild. Oh, I know. You were never actually in the Assassin's Guild, but they remember you.
Sure they do.
They did ask me, with a form of money, to let them know if I ever saw you again.
I would appreciate it if you didn't.
I'm certain that you would. But I really appreciate the money they're offering me. They were going to give me several platinum.
Well, I'll pull out 5 plat and put it on the counter.
He looks at it. And then he looks at you. Says, they were going to give me 6.
I'll pull out 2 more. Or, 3 more.
Ooh. Alright. You place 8 platinum on the table. And he looks at it. You can see him really looking at these. And he kind of scratches his chin thoughtfully before he finally leans back in his chair, and you see him place his hand on the table and let it slide back with him as he leans back in the chair. The move very natural, clearly learned by somebody trained in sleight of hand. He's nowhere near as good as you, and you do still hear the clink of the coins as they fall into his lap, but it was a decent move. I'm sorry I couldn't provide you with better information than that, but I don't want you to go away mad. Maybe I know something that would be more helpful to you. And he reaches under the counter where he's been arranging herbs as you walked in. He pulls out a very small ledger. Not like one you would keep figures in, more like a personal diary. And he dramatically licks a finger as he flips open the cover and starts flicking the pages. As I haven't forgotten our days training you, Vendar. And more than a few names passed through my shop, though, in those days. And I made sure to keep ears open for them. One doesn't stay alive well after dealing with your father without taking certain precautions and remembering certain details. Now, he taps a page in the thing and says, I believe that you had another teacher at that time besides myself, one who was more physical. He stares at you, waiting for you to acknowledge.
Yes. I was taught by several.
Yes. Well, you may be surprised to know they have remained close at hand. I'm certainly surprised to know it. One in particular, he says, a glint in his eye. He watches you for your reaction, says, Kyler.
I'll tense up.
He
So he's still alive.
He smiles. Says, he doesn't go by that name anymore. And it's only by happenstance that I know his new one.
What does he go by now?
He looks around. He actually leans out to try and see behind you, between you and the door. Says, I only know that sometimes when the assassins come here for their orders, they will speak of the ghost. And it is from these little tidbits that they drop, thinking, probably, that they mean nothing to one such as myself, that I have learned that this ghost is within the city, and apparently is to be left alone by the Assassin's Guild. But you know the interesting thing about leaving someone alone? You have to know where they are to be where they're not. In any event, please accept this little piece of gossip as an apology for not having more information for you, boy.
So the assassins know where he is.
He doesn't answer in words, but he blinks at you with a little smirk on his face.
I admit that's a reunion I'm less than eager to have.
Yes, I imagine it's true. But the reason I mention it is because before he was known as the Ghost, he was the one who connected me with your father. I have a sneaking suspicion that he connected others of my guild with him.
I appreciate the information. Are the Assassin's Guild still located in the same place?
Oh? Probably. But remember that they were going to pay me to let them know when you came back to town, so I can imagine that they'll have plenty to talk about if you show up on their doorstep. I want there to be an understanding between us, Knife of the Dracnir. In exchange for all of this, I would like to keep my business and my life a bit longer.
You have nothing to fear from me. I appreciate the information.
Good. Well, then until you darken my doorway again, have a lovely evening.
I'll give him a nod and leave.
As the door closes behind you, you do hear a bout of rasping coughing going on inside. You're not exactly sure why, but it subsides after a few moments. Anything else?
Well, I'll suppose I'll go to where the Assassin's Guild was located. I don't want to go straight in. I want to kind of scout it out.
Okay. So you're going to roll some investigation to meander about and look for their watchers.
16?
Okay. And your passive perception is 27?
Yep.
Okay.
She rolled
You're...
my passive investigation.
Hmm?
She rolled my passive investigation too.
Oh,
It's
you...
6 rolls.
You do notice a number of these people. I want you to roll a wisdom saving throw.
Efficiency in those. 17?
17. Okay, you get a tingling as the hairs on the back of your neck go up. And you get this sudden jolt through your brain that's telling you you shouldn't be here. You want backup.
Alright. I guess I probably shouldn't try to go in alone. And while I am great at sneaking, this is the Assassin's Guild. They're kind of also good at that and seeing things.
And you're kind of going into their lair.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that isn't busting into the Assassin's Guild that you'd like to do before we skip on to morning?
I suppose I'll go back to the lodging now.
Okay, you can do that. It takes you at least another half hour, so you've been gone, about an hour and 15, as you spent some time, with Alden, and then a little bit of time sneaking over toward the Assassin's Guild before realizing that it was a dangerous idea. So, Yukikaze.
Yes.
How long do you think you would nurse that drink under the stars?
I said for probably about an hour.
Okay.
I was gonna head to bed about 11.
Okay. Well, if it's over an hour, then you might catch Vendar coming back. Otherwise, you would not.
We could roll the dice because I have no like because you can guess kind of how long you've been out, but there's no real way to know without an actual clock.
Okay, you want to go evens
He's
or
no
odds?
Laramentis.
Yeah, we can do evens or odds.
Alright, what do you want for catching Laramentis?
Catching Vendar?
Catching Vendar.
How about for the odd chance that I stay too long?
Okay, odds it is. I got a 4.
So I guess I head back before.
Okay.
So you don't catch Vendar, you do catch Laramentis.
It's true.
You catch these
He's working.
hands.
Magic is occurring.
Alright, so you would head up to bed thereafter?
Yeah, whatever would be just before would be around an hour-ish.
Okay. I will teleport you up there. Laramentis is finishing his enchanting. That is a involved hour-long process.
And then I'll just get myself set up for bed and get in bed.
Okay. Double. Blah blah blah.
Oh, I was muted.
Alright. So, about an hour has gone by. Within that time, would you have finished nursing your drink and gone up, or...?
I imagine so. After sitting by the fire and just enjoying myself.
Okay.
Relaxing for a bit.
Alright, so a little bit prior to Vendar's return, you head up. I shall teleport you there. Oop.
Back over these clowns.
Look at all of them. I like the 2 Dragonborn passed out on the beds, completely inebriated. Alright, so... Vendar, you get back to the house. A servant lets you in when you knock, recognizing you. You head into the foyer, and there's no one around. The food has been cleaned up and put away. And it even seems that at this time most of the servants are asleep. So, what do you do?
I will go upstairs.
Okay. You reach the room where everyone's staying, and being that it's, 15-20 minutes after the last stragglers came up here, I think, Lara, after you finish enchanting the thing, what would you be up to?
Continue. How long is the divvying up of?
Given that it's a lot of grains of sand, that would take a while.
Yeah, so
The
I think
thing is
Larmendus-
efficient, however.
Yeah.
Don't sneeze.
He'll be awake to make sure that unseen servant gets to be cast as needed. Probably erring on the side of trancing the later side of things.
Later side of the 8 hours.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, you're here, watching the unseen servant slowly move grains into 5 piles of this glistening silvery platinum sand, when the door opens and you become very worried that it might gust the sand.
I think they're being split into the pouches.
Fair enough.
Not like piles on the ground, which then need to be transferred into the bags. So it's not gonna catastrophically knock over when the door opens. Larmendus probably does jump a little bit in a bit of a panic, but
Vendar returns. If I get up there and I see this going on, I am going to ask Larmendus, have you, or has Nalia worked out a way to make more of that stuff efficiently?
I have not. She has not told me that she has.
Definitely working on it.
Yeah, I believe that she has reasonable tools to figure it out, although the timeline might not be reasonable for the less long-lived mortal races, depending. So I guess to answer your question, no. This is likely the bulk of the world's supply for the foreseeable future. It is possible with my new spell that we might be able to travel to Garland itself and see if we can figure out a time when we might be able to talk to somebody and figure out a secret, the way of doing things in a way that might not be so environmentally devastating. As
About points at Larmendus and says, I was literally going to say that. I was literally about to say that.
What?
But yes,
kind of gestures to his head and same wavelength.
I think that it would be detrimental to the world should we create another area full of magical depletion storms of death and destruction. At the very least, there is some amount of magical items that can be created via other means that could then be disenchanted, but that will be an extremely expensive and not particularly balanced transfer of resources.
What happens to stuff that gets used up when you're casting a spell? I mean, it has to go somewhere. It doesn't just stop existing.
Guess what? It stops existing.
Well, there are many philosophical arguments about what truly happens to reagents of spells. It's possible that the power being filtered through them and thus destroying them pulls their energy into just the magic around us, which we pull from to cast our arcane spells. Just not in any significant enough way that one might be able to easily measure it. But given what we saw with the pulling of ambient magic to create the residuum, it's possible that casting enough spells in a particular area might be able to super saturate it with magic. That would be interesting. And that would be an interesting discussion to be had at the university, which is likely to be the most saturated with magic location on the material plane, or at least in the world. The easily accessible material plane.
What effect does that have on Cyrus?
What effect does ambient magic have on sorcerers? I do not know. They tend not to come to the university as frequently as other people, since their methods, they usually find the experience frustrating, and wizards also tend to find it frustrating. But sorcerers generate their own magic instead of pulling it from around them. So I would guess that spells cast by them will function the same way of turning the reagents into ambient magic. But this is... I mean, I do not think that a sorcerer could do that to replenish themselves. Otherwise, I think we would have heard of somebody figuring that out, which could just mean that the amount of magic created via any reasonable amount of, or even unreasonable amount of spellcasting is low enough to not have any measurable impact in any way. I could also be completely wrong, and reagents that one casts with end up in some other plane of existence, and there's just a pile somewhere. That'd be interesting. I doubt that one, but I don't know. I
Devil is
can...
asleep. You don't know how long he's been asleep now.
Laramendus
conked right
rolls
out.
Arcana. He gets a very low. He rolls a 3, so he gets a 21. He begins to. He's still not noticing that you are asleep. Begins to expound on other potential things.
Oh my gosh. And then Vendar comes in while you're expounding.
So, to Vendar, Laramendus is just lecturing. You clearly see that Jebel is asleep, and Laramendus is clearly lecturing to him, not noticing. It seems real weird and esoteric.
Oh, Leah, hello.
Oh, Vendar had been away. He is back now.
I am back.
I didn't realize I was muted. Can you please be quiet? Not all of us are drunk and been trying to sleep.
Yes, of course.
Now you realize that he's asleep.
Yeah, Laramedis turns to Jebel, say, "I'm sorry, but we should." Oh, all right then.
Vendar, you're here.
You catch the tail end of Laramendis lecturing about some weird esoteric arcana to a clearly asleep Jebel, when Laramendis does not realize that he's asleep, and then Leah comes up and tells him to shut up.
Oh, Lair, good. You're still awake. I use air quotes.
In a bit of a whisper, yes, I am. Is there something you needed me for?
The spell, you said you can only use it once a day before it lowers in reliability. Is that the... When does that reset? Is it at midnight?
Let me pull up the spell.
Give me a pull up.
It specifies before finishing the next long rest. So I could cast it now if you would like.
Yes, I've learned some stuff, and I would like to use that to perhaps avoid getting us all into a dangerous situation.
It will take me 10 minutes to cast and a minute to ask the questions, as it always does. If you write them down, then I can ask them.
We discussed beforehand what the best questions will be. So,
Why don't we step out of the bedroom first?
yeah, don't want to wake everybody up.
Are you using
turn to the
commune
air.
to do it?
He's asking me to cast commune.
Okay. You know that whenever you have cast this, because you've cast it a few times, that it has made wherever you are shake with the booming voice of a celestial.
Maybe we should go outside.
I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying be aware that you know this about the spell.
Fair enough. I mean, doing that even just outside is probably kind of loud.
Go to the cliffs. Stare out over the water there. Very wide river. And then shake the palace with it.
Armendus will ask if there's a reasonably a reasonable place that we won't disturb people via the casting.
Perhaps in the temple? Is that... You think that would be
Perhaps in the
occupied at this
temple.
time of night?
We could certainly ask them if they have a space that is more frequently used for that purpose.
Yeah, so let's go across the street, or across the plaza to the temple, see if we can cast it there. So,
Click on myself, and then left shift, and then click on me, and then I click. Yeah, oh, it worked.
You can even left shift click yourself, and then move the slider if you want to teleport inside.
Oh, fancy.
Yep.
Spotlight circling Vendar.
Yep. Oh, there's Laramendis. Alright, this person isn't here. Get out of here, Grandma! Oof.
Did Cyrus and I had a bit of a back and forth in DMs. I just want to be aware of the status of the result of that.
Oh, yeah.
I am copying over the DMs now.
Okay.
I mean, you should probably just quickly have it out in words.
I was figuring it could have happened while he was
Yeah.
sorting things.
We'll step backwards
Yeah.
in time a moment.
All right.
So, Cyrus comes to Laramendus before he begins his enchanting ritual.
Just trying to keep it quiet, not necessarily wanting everyone to know, but wanting there at least be somebody, preferably the guy with sending. So how would you react if I told you I was going out of town for the night?
Well, do they close the gates at night and the bridge come up? I don't actually know. I've seen the bridge go down once.
I don't know.
Be
It
safe
doesn't
and
matter.
be safe and send if you need anything or if any trouble comes up.
I can't exactly send. It's spent. I'm traveling home for the night, hoping to, sleep in my own bed for a little bit and talk to my mom in the morning.
Do keep in mind the time differences.
That's why the sending's spent. I sent her to see if she'd be willing to take visitors at this hour.
But I assume you'll be teleporting back here tomorrow.
Yeah, probably an hour or two after I would normally get up. So, but if you need me back before then, send and I can return.
I think that's reasonable.
And I've picked up an anchor that I'll be returning.
Have a nice trip. If anything does come up, I will send to you, although I certainly hope that it does not.
It makes two of us. Have a good night. I'll be curious to know if anyone notices I'm gone. Suppose they might think it's the other thing, though. And with that, Cyrus will turn to leave the room and we'll find some place out of sight to teleport from.
Okay. Poof. You teleport to your mum's. I imagine there's some risk in this.
I wouldn't think so, because he would have, his old house key. He has been there within the last 6 months. So he'd be trying to use that as a focus.
Okay.
If not, then I guess it would be under very familiar.
I mean, as long as you are confident that it would be within the last 6 months, then yeah.
I am, because he wouldn't be sure how long he would have been gone from joining this group, so he would have tried to stop by there before he, left the country.
Okay. Then you use your house key, focusing on your ancestral home, and poof, into the night. Okay. And,
There's been too many family reunions going on lately. He needs one of his own.
Vendar and Laramendus, you go and knock on the great doors of the Temple of Pelor. And as you are, your first knock, so you use your standard, I would like to visit a house knock, and you find that the metal of the door entirely absorbs it. So you reel back and pound a little harder, and you find that the door swings in a bit. And pushing on it, you find that they are not locked.
Okay.
You find that the Temple of Pelor is without a roof, open to the sky. Yeah. You are surrounded by tall columns. There is a sun-like mosaic in the middle of the floor. And at the far end, you can see these tall goalpost-like things with a solar disk on top that you imagine the sun shines through at a particular time of year, at a particular time of day.
Neat.
You look around. It does not seem that there is anyone here. At all.
Well, hopefully this will absorb the sound and prevent anybody from being disturbed by the spell.
Do any of the acolytes sleep here?
You don't see any doors besides the ones you came through as you walk through this massive monolithic place. There is benchwork for people to sit upon to listen to whatever it is the cleric in charge might have to say from his podium. But other than that, it seems... I want to say that the building itself is Spartan. It is not cheap. It is very clearly a massive undertaking of wealth that constructed this place. But there isn't much in the way of anything one could walk off with ease. And it does seem to be open to the public, at least as near as you can tell, at all times of the day.
I do want to say that my exclamation was an in-character thing to Vendar.
Oh.
Not out of character, like, wait, did you forget about sleeping monks?
Sorry.
I suppose I can roll for it, but as far as I know, nobody sleeps in the temple.
You may roll if you want.
I got an 18.
You know that the clergy that serve this temple, when the sun is not out, are staying in the tower of the sun god.
So, no, nobody sleeps here. They have their own sleeping quarters in the palace.
All right. Then I think that we shall likely disturb as few people as possible.
You cast your spell.
Does Vendar... I will wait to begin the ritual until I have the questions.
Ooh.
So I found out a little about what might have been in the concoction that my father is giving my brother. Had been giving my brother. I learned that my father got regular shipments from Ebengard from the Alchemy's Guild, so it's possible they came from there, but I also learned that my old master, Kyler, is still in the city somewhere. And if anybody knows who was providing my father with this concoction, it's him. Not exactly eager for a reunion, but it's my best chance at finding help from my brother, so. I also learned the Assassin's Guild knows where he is, but I'm hoping to use this, hoping to use our spell here to avoid having to interact with the Assassin's Guild, as I doubt that would be a pleasant interaction. So, my goal is to narrow down where I might be able to find my former master, Kyler, who's now going by the Ghost.
All right. So you would like to use the questions specifically to locate him, and not about the information regarding shipments from Ebengard from the Alchemist's Guild?
Ideally, I can ask both, but we only have 3 questions, so we have to narrow down. Let me think if I can. So, can I roll to think if there's anywhere where I think Kyler might be hiding?
You may
Or
roll
where
to
he's
try
more
and
likely
think of
to-
places he might be.
Got another nat 20.
You're rolling on fire today.
I am, but I can't do that in combat.
You know that this guy is a master assassin, and one part of being a master assassin is never getting caught. So, I honestly believe that you would put together that wherever he is, he's hiding in plain sight.
Okay.
If he's in the city, he is someone that no one suspects who he is. Or was.
Alright, so he's I will convey that to Lair there, that he's a master assassin and is probably hiding somewhere in plain sight.
All right. How trustworthy is your source? Is it beneficial of us to use the first question to confirm that he is residing in the city?
Not sure. I don't believe he was lying to me. He was certainly afraid of me, and seemed to appreciate when I paid him. And he offered up this information without me asking for it. Don't think he's lying. Probably should have rolled insight then, but I didn't think of it.
What's your passive insight?
My passive insight. Passive insight is 12.
You spent some time with him, learning from him. You've learned to read some of his ticks and tells. He did not appear to be lying to you.
I don't believe he was lying. I think we should take it on his word that he is within the city.
Very well. Would you like to approach this via trying to determine a neighborhood where he living, sleeping is probably going to give us the best bet in asking the question. Yes or no, that this is an area of the city in which he most frequently sleeps. If you think that his employment is going to keep him in one location more frequently than another, we could try that angle. If he's hiding, he probably has some kind of cover, I would assume. But I don't know if his hiding could be done in comfort and just pretending to go off to work, and so people would see him and think that he's doing that, and then he could do whatever he wants. I don't know how he would function. Or are there other kinds of directions in your questioning that you think would be easier for you to find him? I mean, we can use the questions to gain some information that can be used to ask people questions in investigation. Although any questions that you ask to try and pinpoint him, I imagine, could make their way to him, which is probably not beneficial. Although I suppose he could know that you're already here, and it would not be unreasonable to assume that you might find him if he had reason to believe that this acquaintance of yours would inform you of his health.
It's hard to say. He was the best at his craft by far. There was no one really compared to him. I imagine if he is in fact living within the city, he's probably something innocuous, not anything that would stand out. I doubt he's living in great wealth, but I also doubt that he's living as like a beggar. I would bet he's somewhere in the middle. Perhaps. So the city's in tiers, right? It's like the lower tier by the docks and stuff, and then the
I've been using
top
tiers
tier.
to describe it, but they're not necessarily economic tiers. They are physical tiers. As I said, this thing is a big mountainous hill. You know, the island is a steep peak that slopes down on its westward facing side. And so usually when I'm saying tiers, I mean that you're actually going to a physically lower tier of the city. Economically,
that's what I
economically,
was talking
this,
about.
huh?
That's what I was talking about, like physical tiers in the city.
Oh, sorry. Economically, the wealth is kind of spread around, but you know, there's a lot of money changing hands down in the dock area, and wealthier people are going to live closer to this temple, closer to the Brilliant Plaza.
Alright, so I'd guess he's probably either near the docks or somewhere along the lower area of the city. I doubt he spends much time. Well, he might do some work for the rich. He is expensive to hire.
So you want to ask if he is sleeping, or if he is doing the bulk of his work, or what type of in a particular tier, and go through the questioning that way.
Yes, we could perhaps ask if he's sleeping within the lower tier of the city. And see what we.
All right. Assuming that question is no, what would you ask then?
If he's not in the lower tier, then if we were divided, how many tiers of the city are there?
Call it 5, 6?
So we could ask if he's living within the bottom, if he's sleeping within the bottom 2 tiers of the city. And if that's a no, then we could ask if he's sleeping within the middle 2 tiers of the city.
2 questions.
If that's a no, then we can assume he's sleeping within the top 2 tiers. The more I can narrow it down, the more likely it is I'll be able to find him without needing to contact the Assassin's Guild.
Roll a wisdom saving throw.
That 14.
14. You know that no to those first 2 questions could mean one other thing.
Also mean he's not in the city.
Bingo bango.
Of course, I also know that the Assassin's Guild are avoiding him. So if I could figure out where the Assassin's Guild are not, where they're specifically avoiding, then perhaps I can narrow it down that way.
Are they avoiding any one area enough that we can reasonably narrow it down that way? I imagine we couldn't use the tiers for that. I imagine that they don't avoid the docks necessarily any more than they might avoid another tier. I imagine that would be more on
it's
the
more likely
neighborhood within the tier basis.
It's more likely I'd be able to narrow that down by observing them. than through this spell.
All right. So, going back to the questions that had already been out of character, I'm writing in Discord things down to try and make sure that we have the flow chart set up. So it was, is he sleeping in one of the bottom 2 tiers? If that's a no, is he sleeping in one of the top 2 tiers? And if that one was a no, what was the... and with the wording of the questions can change. Those just to jog the memories of what the actual question should be.
I said bottom, then middle. If those are both no, then perhaps we should ask if he's in the city.
Middle 2 tiers?
Yeah.
Okay.
If those is a yes, then I suppose we can try to narrow down. One of those is a yes, and we can ask whether he's in, like, if the first one's a yes, we can ask whether he's in tier 1.
Two questions get taken literally. That's partly on the grace of the DM, which is why it would not be beneficial to ask explicitly, is he sleeping there? More, does he most frequently sleep in this particular, in one of these 2 tiers? Kind of thing, to try and head off that.
You know how to word the questions properly, so
I'm saying that to Jebel, from messages that he was writing in Discord, because I didn't want to stop typing what I was typing, because then I'd have to paste it back and all of that.
And if we do get a yes before we run out of questions, then we can try to specify a specific tier instead of 2 tiers at a time. Or I guess if the city's in 6 tiers, we could perhaps go bottom 3 tiers and then top 3 tiers. That would be less to narrow it down, though.
I have to force myself not to help.
I mean, I would argue that you could help if it's a thing that you reasonably think that one of the characters might think about that.
I think that both of the characters are smart enough to think, honestly, that you could ask above and below, rather. Like, are they above this one?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
No, okay, they're below it. Help divide things.
Yeah.
But if we can narrow it down enough, then I could perhaps find him by observing the assassins, and if I can locate him, if I can get a glimpse of him, I should hopefully be able to identify him.
Vendar, you are smart enough and wise enough in these dealings to know that when Alden said what he said, he didn't mean that they were literally staying away from wherever he was. That Alden meant, in order to not take someone out, you have to know who they are. So it was less that, like, oh yeah, they're just going to, like, totally be not in that area. It's more that they know who he is, because that's how they know not to kill him.
Or, not surprised they would likely fail and just die themselves.
I mean, it's possible. or attack him, or go near him, you know, whatever. And the point was, and Vendar would know it, was that the Assassin's Guild knows who he is.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
But that doesn't mean they won't walk right past him if they feel like it.
Okay, so that might not be as helpful.
I just didn't want you getting stuck on that when your character would know that wasn't the case.
Yeah. Thank you.
You had said that there are 6 tiers?
I think for simplicity of just this type of thing, we will go with that.
Cool. So, 3rd tier or lower. If yes, we could say the
2nd tier or lower.
2nd tier or lower, which tells us is he in the 3rd or
1 or 2.
yeah. So we with 3 questions we figure out which one, assuming he's in the city, based on the answers to those things. So and
let's do that.
Then if all of them are no, then we know that he is not, at least spending most of his sleeping time in the city. So the other question to you, Vendar, who knows this area more, how likely is it that somebody who spends a lot of time and works in the city sleeps outside the city?
Do I know that?
How much time would somebody have to spend outside the city for them to be considered not sleeping within the city?
No, look, if we're asking how much time is he, spending most of his time sleeping time in tiers, whatever.
Yeah.
How many people are going to be like sleeping outside the city but spending most of their waking time in the city?
Oh, for this city in particular, none.
Yeah. Okay,
because
cool. That was what I was hoping for.
Most other cities around the world are on, dry ground, and the wall separates, like, the central hub of the city from, the outer farms and things like that. But this isn't like that. This entire city is contained to the island. There aren't portions of the city on the mainland.
Cool. So yeah, to get that would have just meant that, like, if we get no for all of those, then we still have the question of, okay, is he, still actually essentially within the city, but the question was not designed to pick up that. But it sounds like where he is spending most of his time sleeping is probably a reasonable thing to figure out if he is staying in the city. Assuming he isn't changing up tiers very frequently, which, depending on his paranoia, I don't know. He might to Vendar. Is he the kind of person that the majority of his time sleeping would not be a good indicator of how we could find him? How paranoid is he?
Well, like I said, he spends most of his time. He's likely living somewhere in plain sight, and someone who moved around the city where they were sleeping frequently seems more
Suspicious.
conspicuous than he would like to be.
Excellent. That is what I was hoping to hear.
I did have a question for Vendar that I should have probably asked last session, but I do want to know. Kyler, race, human, elf, dwarf?
He's a human.
Human. Okay.
So I think that the question should be worded something along the lines of, You had said human?
Yes, he's human.
Okay. So something along the lines of is the human who previously went by the name Kyler and now goes by the moniker Ghost. Um, does the human previously named Kyler, now with the moniker Ghost, spend most of his sleeping time in, or I guess most of his what time frame are we looking at? When did he come back to the city?
I didn't get that. I was simply told that he is in the city.
Okay, then let's say the past week,
Yeah, that should work.
just to not. If we are too broad, then we could run into, well, he grew up in this particular town, and so that is the, well, I guess the plurality of his time is what is probably the more beneficial word than majority, just
I
in
do know
case.
he grew up in Elazon.
Okay, so.
Oh yeah, I think the last week is still good.
Vendar slowly learns that you need more than 3 questions and a can-do attitude to conduct a full investigation.
It can help though. This can help me avoid having to deal with the Assassin's Guild. I like that. I'm not in good terms with them.
What do you mean?
Since our last interaction with them so long ago.
They stopped sending guys to kill you. That's good, right?
Yes, I'm sure they'd be overjoyed then to see me.
Okay. So, this is going to use all 3 questions to figure out which tier of the city he is in. No matter what. So we won't be able to prepare other questions. But I think I have just posted, so beginning of every question being, has the human previously named Skylar, who now goes by the moniker Ghost, spent most of his sleeping time, or I guess I want the plurality, not most. I guess that implies most. Plurality of his sleeping time within the past week in the 3rd tier or lower, and then use that to guide the other questions. Does that seem reasonable to you, Vendar?
Yes, I think that is good.
Okay. Let's go. I begin my ritual.
Okay. You cast your ritual. 10 minutes elapse, and you begin asking questions.
So, first question, has the human previously named Skylar, who now goes by the moniker Ghost, spent the plurality of his sleeping time within the past week in the 3rd tier of the city or lower?
The stones around you rumble, and you can hear the pews nearby shifting on the marble, and the vibrations coalesce into a voice that you feel is being contained within the walls here. And Ash kind of bobs a little and says, "No."
Second question, has the human previously named Skylar, who now goes by the moniker Ghost, spent the plurality of his sleeping time within the past week in the 5th tier or lower.
Again, stones rumble, and Ash looks at you. No.
Has the human previously named Kyler, who now goes by the moniker Ghost, spent the plurality of his sleeping time in the past week in the 6th tier?
The stones rumble, slightly differently this time. Ash looks at you. Says, no, yes.
All right. We have considerably narrowed things down.
Yes,
Thank you, Ash.
more so than I was expecting, in fact, because that means he must be in the palace.
I mean, I imagine there is quite a large amount of staff there, and if one wants to avoid notice, a servant is a good way to do it.
Yes, I'll have to keep my eye out when we're in the palace tomorrow.
Neck tingles again, and you realize there's one other building in the 6th tier that has servants.
Unless he's literally in the house we're staying. I guess he can probably disguise himself incredibly well, as that's something I can do, and he was my master.
Are you going to have Larmendus cast any more spells?
We can always attempt a second commune, although it might not work.
You could also wait until tomorrow, and we know it would work. But I guess there's no reason why we couldn't just do it now. We could ask whether he's in the palace or in the lodge. If he's in the lodge, well,
I'd suppose. When did your mother and her staff get here? Question was specifically asking about the past week, so.
You've not discussed how long your mother has actually been here.
I'm not entirely sure how long she's actually been here.
You do know it is between now and when you last visited Everwatch, because your sister told you at that time that your mother was still staying in Elazon and she could not convince her to leave.
And how long ago was that?
3
Like
months?
2 months, or 3 months?
It could be anywhere between last night or a few months. Last I heard, when I spoke to my sister, my mother was still in Elazon.
All right. So we can ask the first question, same preamble, with the ending within Boar Hunter Lodge. So cross that one out first, and then in the palace for confirmation. Assuming it's a yes to the palace, what would you like to ask?
Guess we could ask if he is a servant. Or pretending to be a servant.
I think that is reasonable. So something like, has he been passing himself off as a servant? Has he been doing the work of a servant? don't know what level of depth you want to get at in that question.
Probably passing himself off as a servant.
All right. Those are the only two buildings that would be reasonable to ask about. Right.
This one, nobody sleeps in. You're in it, you're casting the spell, it's all shaking, nobody's come out saying, hey, what the fuck?
Cool.
So, what's the percent chance?
It is a cumulative 25% chance.
Alright, so right now you have to 25, huh? Okay. Well, I rolled 78, which is higher than 25. So, good. I'm doing number or lower. Or fail.
Cool. I cast it again. The first question being, has the human previously named Skylar, who now goes by the moniker Ghost, spent the plurality of his sleeping time within the past week in Boar Hunter Lodge?
Again, the stones around you rumble, and Ash pulses, or he looks to you and says, no.
As the human previously named Skylar, who now goes by the moniker Ghost, spent the plurality of his sleeping time within the past week in the out of character. Is what I say the palace or the tower?
I'm gonna accept either because I haven't really given a good name yet. I'm still debating on a good name, so
Okay, I think
worry
Vendar
not
had
about
said
it. It will be
palace.
understood.
So I will say palace.
Okay. Rumbling and yes.
Has the human previously named Skylar, who now goes by the moniker Ghost, been passing himself off as a servant within the palace?
A short pause before the rumble, and then yes.
All right. Thank you again, Ash.
Of course, Scholar.
I think we have quite a bit more information to go off of now. Although I imagine if anyone is paying attention to this building, they might know that some people came and asked questions.
At the very least, it should mean we have no need to deal with the Assassin's Guild.
But my fun.
I do enjoy fewer interactions with the Assassin's Guild. We could always attempt again if there are more questions that you would like to ask now, although it's now a coin toss on whether it'll work or not.
Well, I suppose we could try to narrow down where in the palace he works.
Is he a footman, kitchen staff?
I will point out there's 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
Excellent.
I think we have learned enough that I should be able to find him tomorrow.
Here I thought that I'd be skipping to morning and you'd be discussing stuff with the rest of the party. I should have known better.
It takes a while to come up with the commune questions. I suppose if we had guarantees of more liberal meanings of things, then we could liberal interpretations of things, and we could spend less time on it. I don't know how you want to go about using the question. I think it makes sense either way, or using the spell rather.
What, like me guaranteeing that it would mean what you need it to mean?
Yeah, like if there is more understood that it's more the intent of the question as opposed to the exact wording of the question, then we could spend slightly less time while crafting them.
I suppose
if that's a concern.
No, I just enjoy watching you make sure that the questions are exact.
Okay.
But I suppose it isn't necessary for the game.
I mean, as I said, I think it makes sense either way. I guess things to think about offline.
Indeed. All right.
While walking back, Claremendus will tell Vendar that the enchantment was finished, so we will be able to cast my spell.
Which you still need to
I'll
come up
make sure
with.
it's prepared. Yes, we can talk about that later.
A name for.
Okay.
Yeah.
A name for. I guess I was understood somehow, but yes.
Yeah, no, I knew what you meant.
Can I have my spyglass back then?
As long as I can have it when I need to cast the spell, yeah.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Hand it back to you.
No,
I guess
put
once
it
we're
back
back
in
in
the
the
bag.
room.
In the moonlight, you notice that it has these etchings of a complex gear system on the side that, as you rotate it in your hand, seems to turn and come alive.
Is that from the spell?
Yes.
Very much reminds you of Garland.
Very gnome-like.
I believe that we'll be able to just begin with morning and everybody getting up in the next session. So, thank you to everybody for bearing with me and participating at the beginning. I'm glad I went more heavy on getting participation from the other players at the beginning. I will see you next week.
Those were the easiest experience I've ever had.
I did. Checks notes. Nothing. I went
more
to
people
bed.
wanted to be awake, then they could have helped come up with the questions.
I think it was reasonable for them to go to sleep.
I put
Oh, it was
Leah,
entirely reasonable for them to sleep.
Leah went to bed last session. I had no idea this session was gonna be taking place entirely during that evening.
Neither did I. I did not bargain for that.
I mean, I'm just glad that we got both communes in.
That's
'cause
impressive, yeah.
It meant that in one day, I mean, so that we have everything that we need to take advantage of going into the next session.
You said 1100, yes?
1100, yes.
Yeah.
We'll remain at 1100 for a little bit, but I think we actually are going to 1200 soon, because then half the party will be 16.
Nice.